Hi, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of Not Aspirational. I'm your host, Hannah Aaron Brown. How's everyone doing today? Happy Hump Day. I'm going to make you girls a Hump Day treat in the immortal words of Amy Poehler circa Mean Girls. I hope everyone's having a great week so far. I'm thrilled. I'm honestly excited about this week especially because this Friday is the live reading of Rock Blocked, which was a pilot that I was cast in, and I'm playing the slutty, boozing older sister. That's called method acting right there. I'm basically Daniel Day-Lewis. Where's my Oscar? But that is going to be this Friday in LA. So if you're in LA and you want to come to a really fun event with a live reading, the link to RSVP will be in the show notes. Heads up, there are 2 links to RSVP, one through Partiful and then one through the Temple where we're having it. So keep an eye out. So make sure if you want to come, you do both. But I'm super excited for that. It's always nice to feel like I have something like creatively going, especially with acting stuff, which can feel a little slow, a little bit like I haven't acted in a while. What's going on? So having something to do acting wise is really exciting. And I just love the guts, the chaos of live theater. Also, another life update. Another reason why I'm thrilled for this week is because over the weekend, I got my very first, wait for it, king-sized bed. Woo! Had no idea what I was missing out on. Had no fucking idea. I saw Matthew McConaughey, this quote from him recently. Listen, he's hot and talented, but he does piss me off like a lot of the time. More on that in a second. But I saw a quote of his where he was like, you shouldn't have a king-size bed. You should be cuddling up against each other in a full-size bed. And he's like anti-king-size bed because he thinks that you should be physically close with your partner. And I'm like, babe, with love and light, I know of couples who have separate bedrooms, and I think that is so rock and roll. The notion of having just like your own room, like that's cool. And don't get me wrong, I truly love nothing more than being piled in my bed with Jake and Monty and Nora, just like cozied up reading a book. It's like those are the moments that make me feel like what's her name in Our Town, where I'm like, wow, life is so beautiful. However, having extra space and the option to feel like I'm sleeping alone is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Now, I don't have my TV set up in my room yet, mainly because I don't know how to do that, and Jake's been really busy. But once the TV is set up, that is going to be HQ. Like that will be headquarters. I won't be leaving that room, and I can't wait. It is taking a long time for my apartment to come together, which is hard for me as like an aesthetic kind of bitch, but like things are so expensive and annoying, and just like things take time. Things take time, and I'm not handy per se. And even if I were, Jake is a very hands-on kind of guy. Like I couldn't like switch up the decor without like giving him a heads up and have him not have an opinion about it. So it's like, until he has the bandwidth to tackle this with me, like we got to just be patient. Slow and steady wins the race. So my bedroom has a lot of work to do, a lot of progress to be made before it can be like true HQ, but king size bed plus TV is a really strong step in the right direction. Let's see what else. Oh, also, I have a book rec for you all. I can't remember if I already brought this up on the podcast. Classic me. But I'm reading the best book right now, and it is not smut. It is a departure from smut, which is, as we all know, huge for me. It's called We Used to Live Here, and it's by an author named Marcus Klewer. Yeah, Marcus Klewer. It's a horror novel from 2024. As a people pleaser, it is like the scariest book I've ever read, but I'm having so much fun reading it. Like even before bed, I'm like, ooh, I'm a little spooked, but I'm having like so much fun. And it's such a, like, I have such a visceral reaction to this book and to the way it's written, where I'm like, it feels like I'm watching a movie while I read it. And I might be exploring like the horror genre more after this. I've definitely done like the thriller genre before, like Woman in Cabin 10, Gone Girl, love, love, love. But like, I think I can go scarier. I'm having a great time. So here's the premise of the book. Eve and Charlie are a queer couple and they flip houses. So they purchased this like really old house in the middle of nowhere, I think on the East Coast, to flip. And they're like not super into it. They're like kind of like falling on hard times financially. They're like, we might knock it down. We don't know. And the book opens with Eve alone at the house. Charlie's at work. Eve gets a knock on the door on a Friday night. Now, Eve has, this is literally within the first 5 pages. I'm not spoiling anything. Eve and Charlie have important plans. They have my dream night planned. Their plans that night are to drink some booze and like eat some takeout and like watch a show on the couch. Okay. But then there's a knock on the door. Okay. And it is a man and his family. And he's like, hey, sorry to bother you. I actually used to live here. Like I grew up in this house and like, could I just like give my family a tour? Like I thought it would be fun to just kind of like give them a tour and show them where I grew up. And Eve is like immediately like kind of weirded out. And she's like, why are you just passing through like in the middle of nowhere? But because she's a people pleaser, she lets things go too far. And I'll leave it at that. But the way this book like builds up this like ominous sense of dread is truly masterful, and I am having the best time. So if you've read it, DM me. If you haven't and you're in the mood for something spooky, a little winter spook, I highly recommend. Okay, now getting into pop culture happenings for this week. I have a few. We are going to do AMAs, by the way, and shout out to everyone who wrote in an AMA. They were really, really good, and I'm so excited to like jump into them. But a couple pop culture things that we absolutely must talk about. First and foremost, Punch the Monkey. Now, this time last year, I was wrecked by the lanternfish who swam to the surface and died. Okay. This year, Punch the Monkey has decimated all of us on the internet. Now, in case you live in a sock and you don't know who Punch the Monkey is, that's okay. We're going to talk about it. So he is a now 7-month-old macaque, don't know how to pronounce the breed of monkey. He's a tiny monkey at the Ichikawa Zoo in Japan. So when he was born, his mother was like, I don't give a fuck about you. She was like, you're not my kid, # not my son. And so he was lonely and he had no one to protect him in the enclosure. And these monkeys, when they're grown, they are violent, they're aggressive. And so the zookeepers gave him this little like orangutan like plush toy to like keep him company. Well, this orangutan plush toy becomes like Linus from Charlie Brown with his fucking blanket. Like there are so many videos and photos of Sweet Sweet Punch dragging that little orangutan behind him, and it's like bigger than him. And when he gets like overstimulated or scared, he'll like take it and like hide behind a rock or like hide behind it. There is this video of this older monkey. I swear to God, if I ever meet this fucking monkey, it's on site. He takes, okay, trigger warning, monkey on monkey abuse, okay? He takes sweet little Punch, 6-month-old Punch, grabs him by the tail and wings him around in a circle. And Punch, when he gets released, he's so scared. He literally looks like Abu from Aladdin. He like runs behind a rock. He like gets his orangutan. He like hides and he's like, and I'm literally gonna cry. He's so scared and he's so overstimulated and he's so overwhelmed. Okay, I need to get it together. I need to pull myself together. And so the whole internet is like, oh my God, like this monkey like deserves a family, like he deserves to feel safe. And the latest word on the street is a mom in the enclosure, an older lady monkey, has taken her in as her own, has adopted him, so to speak. There's all these videos of her like, you know, going through his fur and like picking out bugs and shit. And she's like hugging Punch and he's like cuddled up with her. So like, I hope that it continues to exist that way. And like the issue is like, here's the thing. So in the zoo, like the zookeeper's excuse for why they didn't intervene when Punch was getting like brutally abused by the other monkeys was like, hey, this is nature. Like this is the circle of life. We can't really do anything because like this is how monkeys assimilate and like we can't. But I'm like, but you already got involved. I mean, first of all, it's a zoo. Like y'all are involved, okay, in these animals' lives. And second, you got involved when you gave him the orangutan that he thinks is his mom. So like help him from being abused. Now, again, I know that like we shouldn't touch animals, we shouldn't intervene. I've seen a lot of really beautiful videos where it's like conservationists like trying to help animals without touching them. Like I know that it's a delicate and important razor thin line, but a zoo, it's a zoo. Help Punch, justice for Punch. Anyways, long story longer, I think he's doing better now. But if you're in the mood to cry today, just look up Punch the Monkey and his story, because I have never, his little face, I've never seen a cuter animal in my entire life. And Monty is right here. My dog Monty is right here. And Monty is actually extra cute right now because he's a little pathetic. He has a little bit of dermatitis on his mouth, so he has to wear his cone of shame. And with Love and Light, like, I know it really pisses him off, because why wouldn't it? Like, who would want to wear a cone around their neck? But he just looks so pathetic and cute. Moving right along. Okay, there are two types of video compilations that have been going around on my For You pages, if you will. And one of them is Wuthering Heights, like Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi compilations of like their interviews during the press tour. And the other one is Dylan O'Brien and Rachel McAdams interviews during their press tour for Send Help. So here's my tip for you. If you're just in the mood to look at hot people on the internet, here's the way to decide which journey you want to go on if you want to look up either of the videos I just mentioned. If you want to be horny, look up videos of Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi together, because I know that she is married. I know she has a child. I think that they are each other's soulmate. And listen, I know with A Stars, like for A Star Is Born, we were all like, oh my God, Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga, soulmates. I didn't buy that shit for a second, okay? I didn't. And like, I have, like with Love and Light, seen a lot of rumors that Bradley Cooper might be gay. And I really hope that, like, if that is true, someday he can live his best life honestly. Because that's fucked up in a whole other conversation if he doesn't feel like he can. But like, I bought them as just like best friends and like amazing creative collaborators. But something about the way Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi connect is like, I do think that they are just like buddies. And if nothing else, I think he is in love with her. And like, obviously, why wouldn't he be? But like, beyond what she looks like, she is like such a brilliant actor, filmmaker, producer. Like, I think Margot Robbie, if she wanted to, could have just had like a hot girl career in film. And I think the career choices she makes are so interesting. Like, I, Tanya, why aren't we still talking about I, Tanya? That movie's fucking great. Like, I just think she is such a cool person. And like, why wouldn't he be in love with her? And then I think about like the conversations they must have, and like how like Jacob Elordi dated Olivia Jade, and obviously Olivia Jade is stunning. She's Aunt Becky's daughter. Okay. But like Jacob Elordi seems like a deep emotional well, and like kind of like just like a moody, like creative, and also like a goofball, because Australians are like famously very fun and very funny and like goofballs. So like, not only is he like deep and intellectual, but also he's a good hang. And I think that Margot Robbie is exactly the same way. And I don't see Olivia Jade necessarily being all those things. You know what I mean? And that sounds shady. Maybe like Medium is, but like not on purpose. I'm sure she's nice, but like I can't think of many other qualities that I would attribute to her, because I don't know much about her. Okay. I'm just digging myself in a deeper hole on that one. But like, God, they're gorgeous together. And watching those compilations, I'm just like sliding off my chair. Now, alternatively, if you want to get butterflies in your tummy, like you are in the early stages of a crush that's like, you know, is going to be like all consuming and like maybe ruin your life, but it's the early stages, so it's still like cute and fun, watch interviews with Dylan O'Brien and Rachel McAdams. Because the way he looks at her, the way he laughs at her jokes, the way they laugh together. Again, she's married with a child. I waited on her once. I believe I've said that before. Couldn't speak. She's so gorgeous and iconic and talented. But the way he respects her is just, and like admires her and like marvels at her, is just like, ooh, it makes me like kick my feet. I could watch it for 80 million years. They're so cute together. They did an episode of Chicks in the Office together, and it was a treat. Honestly, after you listen to this podcast, obviously, check it out if you're a fan of Dylan O'Brien and or Rachel McAdams, because it was a really good interview. Okay, next thought I had recently is that a Trading Spaces reboot, while it couldn't fix everything, it could fix a lot. I don't know about y'all, but I have the fondest memories of growing up as a TLC child, mainly after school, rolling into my basement, half doing my homework with Trading Spaces on while I ate a family-sized bag of Chex Mix from Sam's Club as a floppy air quote snack. And I had a great fucking time, okay? So I was just thinking, like, I think Paige Davis, where is she now? I should do some research on that. We need Paige Davis to come back in some cute little corduroy pants, some bootcut corduroy pants, cute little sweater, find some tragic people in the middle of nowhere and have them trade spaces. If you didn't grow up on Trading Spaces, let me give you a rundown of what this show is. Okay. So there would be like 2 sets of neighbors, 2 days, and they would each make over a room in each other's houses with the help of a designer, floppy air quote designer, with a budget of $1,000. So these designers had to get scrappy and they would do some really fucked up things. Like they would do some weird things to these rooms. Now, my favorites were always Frank and Genevieve Gorder. Frank was very into like a farmhouse aesthetic. Genevieve Gorder was kind of like bohemian girly, like warm bohemian. The true menace of the show, the villain of the show, was Hildy. Hildy was psychotic. Hildy would be like, oh, so for this bathroom, I'm going to spend most of the budget on 2,000 silk flowers, and we're just going to hot glue them all over the ceiling and all over the walls. And I'd be watching it with my mom, and because I was like 7, I'd be like, whoa, that's cool. Like I was obsessed with like a heavily themed room as a child. And I remember my mom being like, oh my God, the amount of dust that would collect on those, that is disgusting. Like you couldn't possibly keep that bathroom clean. But like anytime I would watch Extreme Makeover Home Edition and they would be like, we heard that you watched a movie about fairies one time, so we made your entire room fairy themed. As a kid, I was like, I want a room that feels like an amusement park attraction. Like, why wouldn't I? Even though I would grow out of it in like a year. Anyways, so Hildy would do really fucked up shit. And sometimes during the grand reveal, people would be really upset. And what's so amazing, it's like cringe comedy. What was so amazing about it is like the neighbors would do the reveal with Paige Davis, like all together. So the neighbors would have to watch the people react to the room that they just took part in creating for them. So if they didn't like it, it would be like the most tense, awkward few minutes of TV. And if you ever want a laugh, oh baby, if you ever want to laugh, just go on YouTube and look up Trading Spaces fails. And you will pee your pants. It is so funny. There was this woman who like violently hated the color chocolate brown, which like in the grand scheme of like interior design colors that someone could choose, like chocolate brown, I would argue, is like one of the less offensive ones. Like it's not like it's like salmon on your walls, but she literally sees it and she goes, oh, just kidding. And then she gets really quiet and she like turns away from the camera and like hides behind like a curtain because there's like inexplicably like curtains in the room, like along the walls. And she's like, I really don't like it. Actually, it might be confusing 2 reveals or two reveal fails, if you will. There was one where there was hay on the walls. I think that's the one where she cried. I think that was my boy Frank. He put hay. He put hay on the walls, and then she cried and hid behind a curtain. Oh my God, I'm crying laughing now. And then there was another one where she just violently hated the color brown. I was like, I said no brown, and she like is like, just kidding, not really, really fucking mad about it. And the neighbors are like, ooh, sorry, ooh. It is so fucking funny. So I think what the world needs now is a Trading Spaces reboot. I really do. I think a Trading Spaces reboot would fix a lot. I think it would unite us as a nation. I just want to see tragic people have tragic rooms that they have to deal with while TLC packs it up and heads out of town. I think there's nothing funnier. Okay. Another thing, we're going to get deep for a second before AMAs, but like one more funny thing that I wanted to bring to the table is something else that I think would fix a lot is if we bring back calling things interesting, but in a shady way. I had 2 friends do this recently. One of them was talking about someone's style and they were like, she wears such interesting things. And like, this woman's style was egregious. So like the subtext of that is like, what the fuck is she wearing? But saying interesting is such a like polite way of being like, her style is busted. And then another person that I was talking to was like, wow, that person, they're very interesting looking. And it was someone who, maybe wasn't the most stereotypically attractive. Okay. And obviously everyone is beautiful for different reasons. We're all beautiful inside and out, et cetera, et cetera. But again, I read between the lines and I was like, I'm picking up what you're putting down. Wow, that person looks so interesting. Or if someone like makes a weird choice where you're kind of side-eyeing it, you're like, huh, that is an interesting thing to do. Or like, it's an interesting thing to say. There's just so much that can be said, like with the word interesting. It's such a nice like umbrella, if you will. You know what I mean? So I want to invite you to use that in your lexicon. I certainly will be. Now, on a deep note, the BAFTAs were, I'm recording this on Monday. They were yesterday on Sunday. Quick trigger warning. We're going to talk really quick, like body image and like ED recovery stuff. But I saw this video of Emma Stone at the BAFTAs and she looked gorgeous. Her dress was stunning. Like her glam was amazing. Like I loved how she was styled. She was so thin. And I think we're seeing it now, like one celebrity after another is just dropping so much weight. And it's like, yes, it's Hollywood. Yes, it's entertainment. It's always leaned thin, but like this is like 90s, like heroin chic thin. And I don't think it's productive to like point a finger at like Emma Stone or any other celebrity that you've noticed like has had extreme weight loss. I think this is like a symptom of like society, like where we're at as a society. And so I don't think it's productive to like fault other women for losing a bunch of weight. But I do think that it's really, I think we're in a tough spot as like consumers of media and as like quote like normie women and honestly just women in general. But like for me as like a normal person who doesn't have the resources that a celebrity has, whatever. I think for us to consume all this content and all this imagery of these women who've always been beautiful, dropping extreme amounts of weight in rapid succession and just accepting that like it's normal and feeling like we're not allowed to talk about it because, quote, we don't talk about people's bodies. I think that is like a form of us as women being gaslit because it's like, okay, yes, I understand the intention behind like we shouldn't talk about bodies, but it's like at what cost to our mental health when collectively we're all watching the same movie, we're observing the same phenomenon in culture, and we just feel like to be quote nice, we're not allowed to talk about how it makes us feel. We're not allowed to bring it up to each other. We're not allowed to be like, have you noticed how skinny that person's gotten? And act like it's not fucking with all of our brains. Like, I just don't think that's fair. And I actually made a video about this on TikTok. And what's creepy is I'm going to get into my next point. I said this in the video, which got flagged by TikTok for being quote like in violation of community guidelines, and then they made it impossible for me to appeal it. So I don't think TikTok really wants me to be saying these kinds of things publicly, which is terrifying given that it's now an American-owned app. But I think it's also scary if you look at like what's going on in the world, that we're watching women shrink and get smaller and smaller and smaller when our rights are, you know, being taken away constantly. Our rights are being threatened. We all feel very unsafe, and really, ideally, we should all be getting stronger to physically have the energy to fight back against what is being forced upon us and what is happening to us. So the climate we're in, coupled with women wasting away before our very eyes and us feeling like we're not allowed to talk about it, is just really deeply unsettling. And I also have a big problem with if you like take it like quote down a tier. So not like A-list celebrities, but like influencers who are dropping weight really quickly and building platforms on this idea of like, I'll share everything with you. I'm always going to be real with you. I'm going to be transparent with you all the time. And then mysteriously not mentioning like the 30-pound weight loss in 2 months that happened and just being like, yeah, whatever. And like conveniently leaving that part out. I think it is such a disservice to the communities of women who follow those creators and who trust them and who look up to them and who admire them and who have like a parasocial connection to them. And yes, there's an argument to be made for like, what do famous people owe us about their bodies? But I would argue something. I would argue honesty and transparency, because I think it is so difficult for me as a consumer of media, as someone who's built a TikTok following on being a quote like hot girl anthropologist. It's challenging for me to see a very, very thin woman be like, oh my gosh, I love this pasta salad. And they're eating this huge bowl of this like healthy, veggie filled pasta salad. And I'm like, okay, but I eat the same way you do. And I walk my 10,000 steps and I do my Orange Theory and I drink my water and I don't look like you. And so there needs to be more transparency around this. And I just think like, obviously this is a very multi-layered conversation. I feel like I'm just like a bouncing ball all over the place. But like, I do think all of us, and I'm going to speak as a millennial woman who grew up on heroin chic celebrity culture, Kate Moss on magazines, America's Next Top Model, every celebrity, going through a phase where they were down to 90 pounds and tabloids picking people apart for being fat or too skinny. And like, as women just feeling like we can never win. Like, I felt like we kind of had made progress when we saw the Kardashians in like 2015 get famous and have like a huge cultural moment in the zeitgeist, because I was like, oh, now people are getting BBLs. Like, now people are paying to have curves. Now it's like sexy to be a strong gym girly with like a thick, juicy ass and fat thighs. And as someone who is naturally prone to being curvy, that's just like how I'm built, no matter what I do. That was really empowering for me and like helpful for me. So to see us penduluming the other way in this political climate is really fucking with me and freaking me out. And while I don't really have a solution and I don't really have answers, I mainly just want to talk about it because I don't want anyone to feel alone in this. And I kind of just want to invite us all to feel less guilty about like engaging in a dialogue about it, because I think it's the only way that we can kind of like connect and like wellness check each other and support each other and be there for each other while we try and fight against what's going on and the pressures that are put upon us by this administration and by society at large. And that said, having a thick, juicy ass and some hip dips and some love handles, all things which I proudly have, is an act of resistance. So drink your martinis, eat your fucking fries, live your fucking life. Because I remember when I had my eating disorder, I was 18 years old. I was freezing cold all the time. I was miserable. And I remember thinking, like, when I was chubby in high school, like, if I could just be thin, if I could be someone who is so thin that people make jokes about how I'm not thin, like, that's how fucked up I was in my brain. I was like, everything will be fixed. Guys will like me. I'll get roles that I want in plays and stuff. Like, my life will be so much better. And yes, guys did treat me differently. And yes, my casting did change. But when I tell you I was miserable, I would literally get in fights with friends because I would be so distant. I would be somewhere else. I couldn't enjoy going out to eat. I couldn't enjoy a barbecue. I couldn't enjoy just like hanging out and watching a movie. I couldn't enjoy anything because my brain was constantly calculating in my head. And I don't want that for me. And I don't want that for any of us. I don't want that for any woman ever. So I just want to bring that up because I think it's a scary time in society. And I think not talking about it is only going to make us feel more insane and more isolated. And I think finding community with other women and having a safe dialogue about it is the best way to move forward and the best way to resist. Well, that said, I hope I said everything I want to say. I feel good about that, but this can be an ongoing conversation, dialogue. And also, by the way, I did post an Instagram story about this, and so many of you were so vulnerable with me in my DMs, sharing your own experiences, telling me that I'm not alone. Like, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, that kind of connection and taking the shame out of talking about it and the making it less taboo to talk about what we're observing as a collective, as women, is so powerful. And I just want to thank you all for your vulnerability and for your honesty and for taking the time to write in and connect with me. Like, it truly means the world. And yeah, I am there for you. I'm so grateful that you're there for me. And we'll keep this conversation going because it's the only way to get through, you know? We're going to take a quick break here and then we're going to dive into your AMAs. So stay tuned. I'll be right back. Okay. AMA o'clock, y'all. I am so excited to get into these. Okay. First one, do you actually enjoy making content or do you feel forced at this point and it's a hassle? Honestly, it depends on the day. I think by and large, I love making content. I love connecting with y'all. I love sharing. I love making my TikToks. Where it feels like a hassle is when I get really like obsessed with results. And I've had a lot of like meetings with like cool people where they're like, oh my God, we like love you. We see so much potential in you. Get back to us when your numbers are better. And like, that's where it starts to feel like a hassle, where it's like really hard to enjoy the creative process when I'm like, oh my God, I can't make a living doing this unless miraculously I get, 500,000 followers. So that makes it feel like a hassle. But in general, I do love the creativity of making content. Why are you doing the Orange Theory body transformation challenge if it feels harmful and you're spiraling? Okay, so I did talk about this on Instagram on the heels of what I was just talking about. I posted to my Instagram story that I'm doing the Orange Theory Transformation Challenge this year. And even though I feel like in a lot of ways I'm healthier than I have been in the past when it comes to eating healthy and like making healthy foods that I genuinely enjoy, I still like with this Orange Theory Transformation Challenge, I got my like scan in the beginning and I spiraled about like my body fat percentage and like how much it had gone up in the last year. And I was like, ugh, I hate that for me. So this question is a reference to that. Why am I doing it if it feels like harmful and if I'm spiraling over it? So that's a really great question. And I don't know that I'm going to do it next year because every year I've done it. This is, I think, the third year I'm doing it. And every year I go into it being like, okay, like I'm getting over the hump of the holidays. And usually over the holidays, you know, we're all a little bit like out of our routines. And it always starts at the end of January. So like 2 years ago, I did it because it was the year of my wedding and I wanted to kind of kickstart my like wellness routines. Last year, I was like, I had so much fun doing this last year. I liked being like held accountable. So I'll do it again this year. And honestly, it's like every year though, I do go through like a little bit of a spiral. And that said, I don't think I should keep doing it. My headspace going into it this year was like, I'll have just gotten through this move. I want something to kind of like get me back on track with my routines. So in that way, it has been helpful. But I do think like seeing the metrics and the data can be really triggering for someone who's struggled with body image stuff, ED stuff, etc. So I don't know that I'm going to do it next year. And like I said last week, like keeping up with the classes is kind of killing me softly. I will say I do like that it's like forcing me to find time to work out because when I get a little anxious or a little depressy, like working out is the first thing to go, even though it is like so essential for my mental health. So having it to like force me to move regularly is good. But yeah, it's always a challenge like that. Like I like the accountability of like for this succinct amount of time, you're going to kind of like go all in. But like within that, there's always a little bit of like a little tweak of the whole mental health. So I have to reflect on it more. I don't know that I'll do it next year. How did you meet your husband? Any suggestions for my aging single self? So I met Jake at a friend of a friend's barbecue in 2019 and it was super organic. And I'm a firm believer in meeting people in person because I just think it's like, you know, within 2 seconds, if there's a spark, like if there's a vibe, if you want to keep talking to them. And so it's like efficient and it's, you know, we're all booked and busy. I think the apps, like what gets annoying is like, it's just draining, like the swiping and the matching and the texting and then should we exchange numbers and then planning the date and then showing up for the date and like maybe someone cancels, like it's just too much. So I'm a firm believer in just like getting out in the world and putting yourself in situations where you're going to meet people. And what happened was like, we were at this barbecue. I was in the kitchen, like by the chips and the potato salad was really good. And Jake came in and I thought he was cute. And I was like, you should try the potato salad. It's really good. And I was like, it's vegan. And he's like, I'm not vegan. And I was like, I'm not either. I just think it's good. And he's like, okay, well, I'm going to go shove a chemical filled hot dog in my face. And then he ran outside and I was like, why didn't he want to talk to me longer? That's so annoying. And then I went outside and then eventually he like came up to me and started talking to me. So advice for your aging single self, that is not a nice way to refer to yourself. I mean, maybe it's not as loaded as it reads on the page. There's no tone in writing, but I think you find your person when you're meant to find your person. So try not to let age get in your head. I also think like I would so much rather be single and a little bit like find my person a little bit older than settle for someone when I'm like 22 and then be fucking miserable by the time I'm 40. You know what I mean? Like you have this time to like get to know yourself and enjoy yourself and have fun and make memories with your family and friends and like get so confident that like by the time you meet that person, you're going to be like, oh, hell yeah, that is what I've been looking for. The bar is fucking set and I will not settle for anything less. So like, I would say my advice is, like I said, like be places where you're going to meet people, like meet new people. And also like, do not be afraid to say hi. And I know some people are like, ew, like I shouldn't have to say hi. Like guys should have to hit on me. Like I want a man who takes control. But like using Jake as an example, like I was the first person to say something, but once I opened the door, like I opened the door a crack and he like kicked it open. Like he kept that conversation going for like 6 hours. He asked for my number. He was like, I'll text you tomorrow. I would love to take you out this week. He texted me the next day. He's like, when are you free this week? Great. Wednesday, dinner. I made a reservation. I'll see you there. He paid for dinner. Like all I did was say hi and he handled the rest. And so I think like, honestly, like I know the bar is in hell for men, but I do think like sometimes they're shy. Like Jake told me that when I talked to him, he's like, why is this girl talking to me? Oh my God. And he kind of like clammed up and got nervous. So I think by just like saying hi, you are kind of cracking open the door being like, hey, I would like to have a conversation with you. And then how the guy responds to that is like out of your control. But if he's a good one and he's like feeling it, he'll do the work. So that's my advice, is to say hi first, be in places that or not be afraid to say hi first, I should say. Be in places where you're going to meet people. And then also, don't be afraid to let your freak flag fly like early. Like the first time I met Monty, started doing a voice for him because I just like do voices all the time. And I can think of like a million other guys I dated where I just wanted to seem like so cool and like affected and like mysterious. And I would never have felt comfortable doing that. But I did it, and Jake thought it was like super endearing and cute. And now like he does the voices with Monty too. So like I think just being yourself, which of course is easier said than done, is the key. Because like I've known people who have kind of like done the like demure, like mysterious cool girl thing and sort of like bamboozled guys into dating them. And then once they actually like, because you cannot keep that up forever. And then once the mask falls, the guys are like, whoa, like I didn't sign up for this. Like I don't even know who you are. So it's like you want to build a relationship on a foundation of like honesty and being yourself so that you can feel safe. Like in that relationship, you can feel safe being your whole self, not just this like bullshit version of yourself that we like think we should be because of like media, you know what I mean? So let that freak flag fly. And when you meet your person, because you will, probably sooner than you think, tell me. I'm excited for you. Fave workout clothes. Okay. There's a brand called One Active that I've only bought a few things from, but I love their stuff. They have petites, they have tall, they have extended sizing. The designs are really cute. It's really affordable. I just think it's like very hot girl coded. So I love One Active. Also, they make great sweatpants that are like a nice thin cotton. So they kind of like glide nicely over your legs the way that like a pair of like 90s joggers would, or like vintage sweatpants would. So highly recommend. And I also love Athleta. The Athleta Elation leggings are like my all-time favorite if you're looking for just like a buttery soft legging that also has like a good bit of hold and can like really like stay up during like a run or a workout. They're like the perfect leggings for like gym and life and lounging. So Athleta and One Active is what I would recommend. If you could travel anywhere and budget is not an issue, where would you go? That's such a good question. I think probably whatever that Four Seasons was in White Lotus season 2 in Italy. Were they in Sicily? I don't know. I'm a dum-dum. But like I'm really craving a warm weather vacation at like an insanely bougie like Four Seasons situation, like resort, where it's just like pool, amazing food, amazing drinks, fun group of people, reading my book, getting drunk, going to bed, going to the spa. So yeah, a nice ass resort probably in southern Italy. What would you go back and tell your high school self? This is such a thoughtful question. I would go back and tell her that all the things that you're embarrassed about now are your superpowers, like are the things that will make you successful as an adult. So rather than being embarrassed by them or feeling like you need to dampen them, just lean the fuck in and own it, because they're what makes you special and what makes you magnetic. And I would say that to anyone. Like I think truly like anything that you feel like, oh my God, why am I so enthusiastic about this thing? Like I feel so alone in this. Like I think that is the thing that like connects you to people in such a strong way. Like, is there any better feeling in the world than when you like make some niche pop culture reference and then someone's like, oh my God, you know about that movie? Like it is truly the best. So yeah, that's what I would tell my high school self, is just like all the things you think are embarrassing or weird about you, they're the coolest things about you. So just lean the fuck in and gatekeep some of them, because there are going to be some boring people that try and steal your personality and they don't have the riz that you have. Dish more on the Karina pod. Okay, so meeting Karina Dawn and podcasting with her was literally the coolest. I did this like Tone It Up series on TikTok, and when she messaged me, I was like, oh my God, I hope I'm not in trouble. And she was literally just like so sweet, so open, and just wanted to get together and chat. So back in November, we like got apps and wine together, and I was so nervous but so excited, and she's just a blast. Like I wish I could dish more, but honestly like that was it. Like I just love hanging out with her. I'm like dying for her to come to LA again and just like hang out with me, because she's just a girl's girl. Like she just wants to like yap and drink wine and eat yummy food, and it's the fucking best. She's so cool. If you had to be on one reality show, what would it be and why? This is easy. Summer House, because Obviously, my close friend Wes Wilson is on Summer House. And I think that my vibe would be this is like really bold to say about myself. And I'm sorry if it's unlikable, but I do think on Summer House, I would be like a nice Paige DeSorbo, Lindsay Hubbard, like hybrid. Yeah, take that as you will. But that's how I see myself. And I could be delusional for that. I could be delusional for that. But I think we should all be so lucky as to see ourselves that way. And anytime I watch Summer House and all the like random people like leave the party at the end, and then all the actual people, like all the roommates get to just stay in the house and keep partying and like order food and hang out. Like I think I would thrive in that environment because I never want to leave the party. I never want to go home. So if I was on Summer House, I would never have to leave the party because I would be living in the party house for a summer and getting paid for it. Like that is my dream job. And I think I would be really fun on the show. And I think that I would be a girl's girl. And I think also because I love bed, like I think I would fit in. I think I would fit in on the show. In theory. What's your nighttime routine? Do you take anything to help with sleep? Sleep issues here. So unfortunately, I have this dark gift where I can fall asleep anytime, anywhere with no fucking problem. So I'm not much help, but I will say what I've been doing lately that's been really nice is I'll have like a de-stressing like lavender tea or like a well-rested tea right before bed with my book, and I'll read a little bit. And I think like reading before bed and like putting the phone down is huge for getting good rest. That, and hate to say it, hashtag not an ad, I love my Hatch alarm clock. Specifically like brown noise with the red like ambient light really helps me. But if you don't want to invest in a Hatch right now, there's like Spotify playlists and like YouTubes of like 8 hours of brown noise. But like brown noise, if you're not familiar with it, it's like the sound of a plane. It's that like low kind of like rumbling noise that they use to put babies to sleep. That's actually how I discovered it. My friend had a baby and she put it on in the car when we were in traffic once, and I fully fell asleep along with her kid. So brown noise, sleepy time tea, reading before bed, no screens like an hour before bed. I think that's what I would recommend. And then, oh my God, my other thing is to have a falling asleep boyfriend, which I brought up in the past, but like this is good stuff. Some people count sheep to fall asleep. I have falling asleep boyfriends. Literally just make up a scenario with like a celebrity crush of yours. It's like playing Barbies in your head, but with yourself and a celebrity. And like just like imagine yourself in like a detailed situation with a celebrity crush. Like I've been in like a workplace rom-com with Ben Affleck for like 4 months now. And in the past, it's been with Milo Manheim. And it's like not even like sexual in nature. It's just like you're flirting and you get to like pick out your outfits in your head. And you're like, oh my God, okay, like where do I work? And like what am I wearing? And what am I doing? And like what does he say? And what do I say? And like coming up with all those details like will tire you out. And before you know it, you'll be asleep. So those are my recommendations. Take them or leave them. Let me know what you think. Movie you wish you could experience for the first time all over again. Need comfort recs. Okay, so I have this problem where I do watch the same movies over and over and over again. Because, you know, anxiety. But I love Only You with Marissa Tomei and Robert Downey Jr. I love Heart and Souls, also starring Robert Downey Jr. and like a million other wildly talented people. I love Stand By Me. I love My Best Friend's Wedding. I'm trying to think of like a lesser known comfort movie. Although I do feel like Heart and Souls is like kind of a deep cut. Comfort movie. I would say those are probably, and Overboard. That's another great comfort movie. I feel like those are all pretty classic, so I'm sorry if they're not as like niche as you would have wanted, but those are my go-tos for comfort movies. I would love to hear more about your apartment search in LA. Okay, so Jake was looking primarily, like we were looking a lot on like Craigslist and Zillow and apartments.com. But there is this apartment rental company in LA called The Rental Girl, and all of their places are so cute. I was also looking on like TikTok and Instagram. I was like asking random people, like, do you know anyone getting rid of their place? Like I was kind of freaking out. And funny enough, I was talking to a friend one day, fully spiraling, being like, I don't know where we're going to live. I'm so stressed out, blah, 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 blah. And she's like, you should check out The Rental Girl. And I like hadn't been really keeping up with The Rental Girl because I was like, those places are so cute. They're usually really expensive. They're usually really competitive. Like there's no fucking chance there's going to be something for us on The Rental Girl. But I got off the phone with her and I was like, okay, fuck it. I'll just check. And this place that I'm sitting in right now was on there. And I was like, Jake, this is in the neighborhood we want to be in. Have you seen this? He's like, oh my God, it's back up, because there had been like a pending application. So he hadn't even shown it to me, but he had already seen it. There'd been a pending application. It was back up again. He's like, schedule a showing. So we scheduled a showing. We got there early. It was at 10 a.m. We thought it was like a one-on-one showing, but it was like an open house. So we got there at 10 a.m., closer to like 9:45, 9:50. So we're looking around. We're the first ones there. Jake takes out his tape measure. He's like measuring everything. He's like, nice, nice, nice. Our couch could fit in here. This is what we would do. Da, 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 da. Then all of these other couples start descending upon the property. And we're like, oh shit, this is going to be competitive. I talked to the realtor in the back, and I was asking more about the property, and she was telling me more about it. And then I see one of the people who lives there coming back from a dog walk, and I'm chatting with them, and I'm like, do you like it? Like, are you liking the neighborhood? And I like hit it off with this person instantly. And they were like, oh, I love your vibe. We're really looking for like we're close as a building. We're all friendly with each other. Would love for you to live here. Like, I'm going to try and put in a good word with the landlord. Sure enough, we find out that another couple who lives here, we had become friends with at a party like 2 years ago through mutual friends. You know how you like make friends at a party and you're like, this was so fun, we should keep in touch. And then you just like don't because like life. Found out they lived here and they were like, holy shit, hey guys, let's put in a good word with the landlord. So it was down to us and another group, but it ended up working out. It felt so kismet. We were like so excited. We were like, if this doesn't work out, I will be shocked, because it really felt like the universe was like, here is your place. This is yours. You should live here. So it all worked out. But I would say, like, had I not had a little chit chat with the neighbors, we wouldn't have known that the couple we were friends with already lived here. We wouldn't have become friends with the other neighbors. Like it all worked out the way it was supposed to. But it is like shocking to me, like how many people like don't try and chat with the neighbors, don't try and chat with the realtor. I'm like, you guys, like, make a good impression, because the realtor is the one who has a relationship with the landlord, and they're going to be the ones that are like, ooh, these people seemed like they'd be great tenants. Like, I'm not saying be nice for manipulative reasons, but like be warm and watch the world open up for you, truly. Who will get married on Love is Blind, and thoughts on the season so far? Okay, this is the last question. I would say who I think is going to get married, probably Christine and Vic. I think they're very sweet together. Now, mind you, I do have to provide some context here. Like, Love is Blind is such a background show for me. Like, I'm fully like on my phone, working, like literally like 1 ear in, 1 ear out. So like, I feel like all my thoughts are going to be very surface level, and have probably already been said a million times on the internet before. But I think Christine and Vic are sweet together. I think Brie and Connor are an absolute fuck no. And I actually had someone in my DMs be like, oh, I know Connor and he's actually really nice. And I don't doubt that. I think he seems like a little bit like quiet and like maybe a little boring. I think Brie is like really annoying. And like, this is like a dark truth about me. I watch Love is Blind thinking like, probably about 90% of these people are people I would want to bully. And I'd never actually bully people in real life, but like bullying from like a viewer perspective of like making fun of them while I watch the show and being like, you're a fucking mess. Like, gee, what are you doing with your life? That's kind of how I feel about Brie. I think the way she talks to Connor, like he's an infant, like she's like, oh, look at you. You emptied the dishwasher. It's like so patronizing. And I'm like, who would want to like be in a relationship with someone who like coddles them and like talks to them like a fucking idiot baby like all the time? I'm just like, Brie, get a grip. And then when Alex dumped Jessica, this gorgeous woman who is a literal doctor, and he was like, yeah, like I like girls who like work out every day. I had a friend of mine in my DMs be like, he looks like a Keebler elf. And I was like, so true, bestie. He fucking does. I'm like, get back to your fucking tree and make some cookies. Like, you are one to talk about what people should and should not look like. And yes, that's low, but he started it. Okay. And that's how my Leo brain works. And then he was like, oh my God, Brie is like so hot. And I'm like, I'm not here to like comment on women's looks. I am just like, Jessica's like an objectively beautiful woman. And also Brie needs to learn that her lips should not blend in with her face. Like she has like a 2013 level tan, and her lips are 2013 level nude. And I'm like, it's not that she's not a gorgeous woman. I do think she needs to learn how to do makeup for her complexion and how to have a tan that is appropriate and looks natural. I will say that. Emma and Mike, let's hope they don't get married. Let's hope they don't get married. Mike's racist family being like, oh, so you're Chinese? That's your heritage? Oh, so you're adopted? I was like, I can't with you. And then like hounding her about children, being like, well, when we have kids, we want our kids to have cousins. And I'm like, oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Mike's sister. Thank you so much for telling Emma that you would like your kids to have cousins. That's definitely a good reason for this woman who has never wanted kids to change the trajectory of her life. Thank you so much for your opinion. I just could not with any of those people. And then the mom, like, she had this like intense look on her face about how much she wants grandkids. And I was like, you all suck. Get the fuck out of here. And meanwhile, Emma is like a gorgeous angel. Her family is full of gorgeous angels. I love them. When they talked about how Emma like wrote her either grandma or great grandma just like handwritten letters, and how like when she passed, they just found a stack of letters from Emma. I was like, I'm going to fucking cry. She is like such a special person, and her family is so sweet. And I'm just like, they all deserve better than Mike and his family. I'm like, you do not want to hitch yourselves to that wagon in any capacity. So I'm like, Emma, do not marry that man. You can do better. You're hot. You're famous now. There's so much for you on the horizon. Ashley and Alex, Lord help us all. It's a match made in MAGA heaven. And like, I want to side with Ashley because she's a woman and because Alex is like such a loser. He's like, yeah, nomadic lifestyle. Yeah, soccer. I'm just like, ick. And then he keeps being like, yeah, you're not the kind of woman I would normally go for. I normally go for brunettes. And I'm like, Ashley literally looks like a Barbie. And he's like, yeah, not the kind of woman I normally go for. And nomadic lifestyle. It's like we could have a drinking game to the shit that comes out of Alex's mouth. But like, because they're both MAGA, I'm just kind of like, I can't really root for either of you. I don't really care what happens. I'm like, if you get married, you'll probably have like 1 million MAGA babies, and that's, a bummer. But also like, if you break up, I won't really care because I don't really like either of you. So those are my thoughts on Love is Blind. Y'all, thank you so much for listening. This was so fun. I have some really exciting guests coming over the next few weeks. It's going to be a good time over here. I'm very intentional with my guests, so just like stay tuned. And I'm going to be talking Tell Me Lies and Summer House on a very fun podcast this week. So keep an eye out on my Instagram for that. I'll make sure to share the link. If you love this show, leave it a rating and a review. Share it with a friend. Share it on Instagram, whatever. It all helps. I love you all. Thank you so much for your support. Follow me at Hannah Aaron Brown. That's HANNAHAARON BROWN across social platforms, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, whatever. And thank you so much. And I will see you next week. Bye.